Hello and welcome to Outstanding English. I'm Todd Elprovitz. In our previous video, we looked at using the be verb to create sentences and questions in the present simple tense. In this video, we'll be learning how to use the present simple tense with other verbs. Now, when do we use the present simple tense? We use it to talk about facts and habits, such as the earth goes around the sun, or we watch a movie every Sunday. We can also say she walks her dog every morning. We can also use the present simple tense to talk about things we expect to stay the same, like he works in a dental clinic, or my parents live in the countryside. We can also use the present simple tense to talk about feelings and opinions, such as I prefer rock music to pop music, and my brother loves Disney movies. We could also say, I think this movie is interesting. Now, how do we create positive sentences in the present simple tense? Well, we have our subjects, I, you, we, they, followed by a base verb, and he, she, it, our third person singular subjects, followed by a verb and usually plus s. So some examples we have here are I run fast, he runs in the park, and she runs every day. Now there are some special rules for the third person singular, he, she, it. We usually add s to the verb in the third person singular, such as walk becomes walks and think becomes thinks. However, if a verb ends in a consonant plus y, drop the y and add ies. So carry becomes carries and try becomes tries. However, if a verb ends in s, z, sh, ch, x, and sometimes o, add es. So fix becomes fixes, go becomes goes, do becomes does, push becomes pushes, buzz becomes buzzes, and press becomes presses. Let's practice what we've learned about adding s, es, or dropping the y and adding ies to a verb in the third person singular. There is a link in the description to a shared Google Doc that you can practice from, or you can pause this video and do it in a notebook or simply on a scrap piece of paper or in your head. How do your answers look? Did you write enjoys, walks, sits, and writes for the verbs that we just plus s? Enjoy is a little tricky because it is a vowel plus y. Remember, if it's a vowel plus y, just add s. Did you write does, teaches, washes, and mixes for plus es? And did you add cries, studies, tries, and worries to the column that are drop the y and plus ies? If you did, great. If not, rewind and do a quick refresher. Now, how do we make negative sentences in the present simple tense with most verbs? Well, for I, you, we, they, we have do not or the contraction don't followed by a base verb. For he, she, it, we have does not or the contraction doesn't followed by a base verb. So we could say, I do not like sweets, or they don't live here, or he doesn't go to work by car. Let's take a moment to practice what we've learned. On the lines, create a negative sentence followed by a positive sentence. Do this either in the Google Doc, on a scrap piece of paper, in your notebook, or in your head. How do your answers look? For number 1, we have, I don't play basketball in the morning, I play basketball in the evening. For number 2, we have he doesn't eat meat, he eats vegetables. For number 3, we have my cousin doesn't live in Chicago, she lives in Detroit. Number 4, we have they don't study German, they study French. And number 5, we said she doesn't teach history, she teaches math. Now let's create yes or no questions in the present simple tense. We can have do followed by IUE they and a base verb, or does followed by he, she, it followed by a base verb. For example, we could say, do they get up early? And some answers may be, yes they do, or no they don't. We could also say, does she work nearby? And an answer could be, yes she does, or no she doesn't. We might also ask, does it eat shrimp? And we could say, yes it does, or no it doesn't. Now let's practice. On the Google Doc, in your notebook, on a scrap piece of paper, or in your head, unscramble these yes or no questions and add a positive answer and a negative answer. Let's take a look at our answers. For number 1, did you write, does he go to work by bus? Yes, he does, and no, he doesn't. Did you write, for number 2, do you drink coffee in the morning? Yes, I do, and no, I don't. For number 3, did you write, does your dog chase other dogs? Yes, it does, or no, it doesn't. Now, number 3 is special because usually we know if our dog is a boy or a girl, so when people are talking about their pets, they usually say he or she for their pets. And number 4, did you write, do they write for a newspaper? Yes, they do, and no, they don't. If you did, great job. Now, what about WH questions? Well, we take our WH question word, followed by do or does, and the subject and base verb. For example, where do you work? I work online. What does your pet eat? It eats fish food. When do you get up? I get up at 6 o'clock. How often do they eat out? They eat out once every 2 weeks. Who is a little special. If who is a subject, you don't usually use do or does. For example, who plays on your team? Sam plays on my team. If who isn't the subject, you need do or does. Who do you practice with? I practice with Sam. Let's take a moment to practice on our own. In the Google Doc, in a notebook, on a scrap piece of paper, or in your head, unscramble the questions and unscramble the answers. Let's check our work. Did you write, for number 1, where does he live? He lives downtown. For number 2, do you have, what do you watch on TV? I watch dramas. For number 3, did you write, how do they go to work? They go to work by bus. And number 4, did you write, how many moons does Mars have? It has 2. If you did, great job! Thank you for joining me here at Outstanding English. If you enjoyed today's content, hit that outstanding like button and don't forget to subscribe. See you next week.